JJ.
Hit it!
It's time for the Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
All right, welcome in the new drug today. Got a loaded up show today. All kind of fun stuff for you. A couple guests coming in that I think you know. Rainy out there today. Carline and LaSelva. I'm Frank Frangie. Did just a moment ago, before the show began, before we kicked off afternoon drive here on the First Coast, we talked a little fantasy football?
We did.
Yeah.
It was big time.
Okay.
It's right around the corner. I mean, I know you're in multiple leagues.
Well, let me just ask you. I said this to you and to Trent and to JJ. You need fantasy advice? Mm-hmm. You got my number?
I do.
Okay, so it's the same.
You're going to be leaned on.
It's the same number that would be, and a lot of people have asked me, get a second number so there's not the same number.
Yeah,
same
okay,
number.
good. I mean, I know sometimes like people will throw out like, hey, I'm happy to help you, but they don't actually anticipate the help being asked for.
Okay.
This help is going to be requested.
You know when I'm really at my strength? PPR leagues.
I mean, then you've got the world in the palm of your hand.
You know my other strength? Dynasty leagues.
Oh, then nothing can stop you. Then.
You put me in a PPR Dynasty league, JJ, forget about it.
Yeah.
Okay?
I know you're obviously joking.
Yeah. I got the phrases right,
I don't even
didn't I?
know what a dynasty league is, actually.
But didn't I get the phrases right?
Did. It was very impressive.
They mean something.
They do.
They
It was
do.
the context was all proper and correct.
And I said it very confidently.
You did.
I mean, right in the spirit of the conversation.
It was almost like I was talking to Matthew Berry.
Yeah. It's just like that.
Yeah.
Huh? I can remember when I was when I first got out of college, and they were starting cable TV, and I had no job. Okay, and I think I had maybe 10 hours a week at the Times Union, but I needed something, so I went to work for Continental Cablevision. Okay, and went door to door selling cable. There was no cable. This is true story.
Wow, you were a cable guy?
I was a cable guy. Okay, when I was selling cable, but they were trying to explain to me how the coaxial and this and this. I had no idea, so I'd knock on the door. And again, cable was brand new, so nobody really knew how it worked. And can you imagine me, as mechanically sound as I am, trying to explain this stuff? It was tremendous. But people wanted cable so bad, so even though I totally botched it, they bought it. So there you go. That's how it all started.
How about that? How many houses would you guess you visited?
I would probably, you'd park, you had this zone. Oh, you did it at night. People had to be off work.
Right.
So I'm sure they were happy about that.
Yeah, so it was 5 to 9.
Uh-huh.
I'll bet I hit 50, 60 a night.
If anyone out there remembers Frank Frangie coming to your house to install your cable, call the show right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I did. Hey, and let me tell you, up until then, the world had 4 channels. Mm-hmm. I'm showing up with 50. Okay, it wasn't 300, but it was about 50.
Yeah.
Okay. When I'm showing up, you got 4 channels.
Yeah.
I walk in your door.
Yeah.
You just won the lottery when I'm coming down that
now,
driveway.
Could you if I slipped you $50, could you hook it up so I got like every single channel available?
No, I think that was what was available. Was 50 channels, or maybe it was 80 channels, but it wasn't 300.
There wasn't tiers.
No. It was like it was like 300 or maybe 80. It was like 80, maybe 50 to 80 channels. But no. Would I be on the take? Would I be willing to? Yes. Okay. That I know how to know. So no, I'd walk down.
There was a great Big Lebowski reference in the final segment of XL Primetime. So yes, I will start this show with a Big Lebowski reference. Did you ever walk in and say, "That's why they called me. I am expert"?
I didn't watch the Big Lebowski, so I don't know the reference, but I should have. I'll just say that.
I thought you were going to go with the
cable.
Seinfeld.
You can imagine where it goes from here. He fixes the cable.
Right. So
log jamming. Name of the film.
So
Jackie Treehorn.
Yeah.
So there you go. So that's what I had. That was I saw sold stuff I didn't know. But I wasn't nearly as convincing as I just was on that fantasy football talk.
I mean, it was
because I just dropped it on you right there.
It was impressive.
That's what just happened right there.
It was like talking to the James Gladstone of fantasy football.
When we used to do this on the broadcast, Mike Dempsey's the greatest of all time at fantasy football. But Mike, Blogeman, Baselli, me, we'd have JP was in it, and we'd play fantasy, and we'd all pick players. We did this up until about 2-3 years ago. We did about 4 or 5. It was comical how bad it was.
On the pregame show.
Yeah, on the pregame.
I remember that.
It was just comical how bad. And I won one year.
Oh, how about that?
And
then you weren't that bad.
Yeah, but I don't know how. Still not sure how. I think my buddy Ben, who was my spotter at the time, he picked it for me.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so I had a guy. You gotta have a guy.
Right.
So, but I was terrible at it. So there's that. All right, lots of things to get to today. Fun show today. Our friend Brett Hastings will be here. Sports and Courts is at 4:20 today, as it normally is on a Wednesday. All kind of different topics. Number one, if Florida or anybody else tried to secede from the NCAA, what would that mean? What are the legalities of that? Also, the Department of Justice, because of course they are now weighing in on this Zagai Ziegler thing. Have you seen this? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a story out there. Florida has had a freshman player accused of assault. That's out there. So with a little bit of a potpourri of legal issues that have all kind of hit our area of late, college athletics, really. So Brad Hastings will be by Sports and Courts at 4:20 today. Look forward to that. We're going to do a headlines a little bit earlier because my friend Kevin Kaplan, the team doctor, one of the most esteemed, by the way, team surgeons in the league and in the world, but the Jaguars team doctor will be by at 5:20. I just want to ask him, what's this time of year for the team doctor? Do you worry? Do you have injuries when they're just running around and my friend Jeff Lagerman calls it the underwear Olympics? Or do you worry about that? Do you worry more? Do you worry less? Do you worry about guys? Because it looks like we've had this conversation. This team's come in great shape. I mean, it's certainly to the eye, right? It looks like this team is lean. And so, I mean, I really wonder if you're the team doctor, is this a tense time and how involved does he get in that? I wonder.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to hear what he has to say about it. The challenge of managing Travis Hunter, workload wise,
right?
Really interesting.
That's right.
In terms of,
and I wonder how involved he would get in something.
Yeah,
like that.
And even when a coach comes to the organization and immediately says, I want 3 key players to gain 30 pounds. I wonder if that's something. Does that get across Kaplan's desk? That might not be the best thing,
right?
If we're trying to keep these guys healthy.
And so we'll ask him that today. So, and I'll ask him that. Speaking of,
we can also ask him. It's not in regards to NFL, but the Spencer Strider thing's really interesting. That he did the alternate Tommy John,
right?
And it may not have worked,
right,
all that well.
For people that don't know the Braves pitcher, I will ask him. So there's a lot of things. So Cap will be here at 5:15, 5:20, and so in the second hour of the program, that'll be a lot of fun. We'll cover all that stuff. Speaking of Travis Hunter, another topic I want to get to. I mean, we talk about Travis Hunter every day, but the more you see, the more stuff about him that goes viral. I mean, every day. You talked about the video they put out of the incredible catch or interception the other day. There's the video game stuff. There's not a day goes by, it seems like, that somebody doesn't weigh in on how much he can play on the load, if you will. I wonder how does all that affect him, if at all. Now, we've seen tons of Heisman Trophy winners come into the league and struggle under the pressure of having been the Heisman Trophy winner. I mean, that's a real thing. That's not made up.
I mean, honestly, the Heisman Trophy winner usually doesn't translate to a very good NFL player.
Correct. That's exactly right. But often that's because what it takes to win as a quarterback in college is extremely different than a quarterback in the NFL. Yet I don't know that that's the same with receivers and defensive backs. I think those positions translate more quickly. To quarterback so hard you never know, right? So, but I wonder if we'll touch on that a little bit today if we have some time, and then as the week goes on. It's just I can't pick up my phone, turn on the television, go anywhere, talk to a bunch of people where, Travis Hunter's not the conversation, which is kind of cool, by the way. But beyond that, what do you think? Don't people ask you, what do you think?
Without a doubt.
What do you think?
There's not even a close second in terms of topic.
Right.
In all of sports.
That's my point.
In our area at least. Again, this is the best way to say it. Shohei Ohtani has become a superstar. But if Travis Hunter does what he is setting out to do at a high level, he will be 10 times the star in the American sports world that Shohei Ohtani is. And Shohei Ohtani is, generationally popular.
Right. And
Travis Hunter will be 10 times that if he's able to do this at the NFL.
Because he plays a sport that far more people pay attention
Correct.
to. That's the bottom line, and that's a great take. You're exactly right about that. So we got a lot of fun things to do today. I do want to tell you that my wife weighed in and said her favorite stories are the ones about selling cable. She's sad that I'd moved on from that when I met her.
You still have the uniform?
No, I don't, but my buddy Greg Stanton weighed in, and Greg said it was 88 channels. Okay, thank you, Greg. Greg remembers when Continental Cable came, so thank you, Greg. We appreciate that. It was somewhere in there. But listen, I'm walking now. Let me tell you what you have, okay? Let me tell you what you had in your little house, okay? Yeah. You had 4 channels. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you what I'm coming down the driveway with. another 84. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I got.
It would have made my day.
That's who
so,
I am.
Yeah.
That's who knocking on your door right in the middle of you were having your chicken and rice about 6:15. I'm knocking on your door. I got 84 channels. Yeah, come on in. Yeah, I was a popular guy.
Yeah,
a very popular dude.
Can only imagine.
Got a lot to do today on the program. Looking forward to that. I do want to get to. Did you see the ESPN percentages of chances to win the college football playoff?
Yes.
Boy, the Gators were lower than a lot of teams. Is that the schedule? Do you think?
Yeah, because they have like 7 teams that are above them.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that the Gators are going to the playoff. We've got plenty of time to debate that, but they were down the list. Yeah.
Yes,
and that must have been schedule related because I think I saw an ESPN power poll for the SEC where they're 5th in the league.
Correct, and the other thing is the metric that they use to compile this believes Florida will have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense.
Right,
which would lead you to think, okay, well they're going to win 10 games.
Right, but the schedule.
But because of the schedule being as daunting as it is, the expectations are lower.
All right, we'll take a break. We got a lot of stuff to do. Frank Frangie, Hayes Carline, JJ LaSelva. When we come back at Sports and Course, Brett Hastings is here. A lot of topics to get to with him. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
More videos, more podcasts, more Jaguars, preps, and college football. More of everything you love about Jacksonville sports at 1010XL.com.
This is Hayes Carline for Kingfish Pest Control. Mosquito season is upon us, but don't let them take over. The secret to a bite-free yard is starting today with Kingfish Pest Control. Their 3-step mosquito defense process stops them before they can spread. Eliminate breeding areas. Build a protective barrier around your yard and monthly treatments to keep them away all season long. The earlier you start, the fewer mosquitoes you'll have to fight. Don't let those pests ruin your outdoor fun. Call Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Love is in the air. Beards Diamonds. Listen up, couples. Got you a great offer. Hicken here. For a limited time, buy one, get one free on all wedding bands. That's right. When you buy his wedding band, get hers free. Buy hers, get his free. Save up to $10,000, man. Are you about to get married? Been married for years, thinking it's time for an upgrade? Don't miss the deal of the year on the ultimate symbol of love. Beards has hundreds of bands, top designers, white gold, yellow gold, rose gold, titanium, platinum, plain bands, channel set bands. You get the idea. Nobody has a bigger or better selection of wedding bands than Beards. So get to Beards now. Find the wedding band that reflects your style and your personality. Buy one, get the second one free. The big box corporate jewelry stores can't or won't do this, but Beards can. And it's happening through June 23rd. Buy one wedding band, get the second one free. Don't miss this opportunity to celebrate your eternal love with the eternal symbol. For a limited time, buy one, get one free on all wedding bands. That's right. When you buy his wedding band, get hers free. Buy hers, get his free. Shop local. Beards Diamonds at the St. John's Town Center.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
I'm Chris Campione. Auto accidents can leave you feeling lost and overwhelmed. But at Campione Law, we're here to guide you with a personal touch through every step of the process. We don't get paid unless you get paid. CampioneLaw.com.
Count on Campione, Campione Law.
Hey folks, Rick Ballou here for John's Auto. They've been a staple in Jacksonville going all the way back to 1985. At John's Auto, they service all makes, all models, cars, trucks, diesel, you name it. They do it, whether it's routine maintenance or a complete engine overhaul. Call John's Auto on Arlington Road. That's 904-743-3857 or go to johnsautomotivejacks.com.
Okay, here we go with our final lightning round on Potty Talk. Top 3 answers on the board. Ready? Okay. The best way to save money when your faucets or pipes are leaking.
Roland Reese Plumbing?
Something to help you avoid clogged sewers and drains.
Roland Reese Plumbing.
The technical term for that ba-whoosh sound when a toilet flushes correctly.
Roland Reese Plumbing.
Roland Reese Plumbing is always the right answer. Roland Reese Plumbing, 260-7059.
The calls have been pouring in.
It's the strongest phone connection on the First Coast. The Checkmate Coatings phone line covers you with expert interviews from around the country and your opinions and comments from here at home. All day, every day on 1010XL.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks, and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Craving a cold one? Well, zip into one of the great gate locations you see all over town and pick up a cold Bud Light, or a Natty, or an Ultra, maybe a 12-pack of the King of Beers, or some cold Coronas. It's all happening at your local gate convenience store. Slide on in today.
This is Hayes Carlyon for First Florida Credit Union. I bank with First Florida Credit Union because I trust them. I can always count on them when it comes to the vast services they provide. The online banking services are outstanding. So easy to use, depositing checks through the mobile app is fast and efficient. I also go to the branch off 210 in St. Johns County and the Durbin location, but they have 10 branches in the Jacksonville area. You need to be banking with First Florida Credit Union. They're enriching people every day. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
Power bill just went up again? Why keep paying more? Clay Solar can wipe that electric bill out. Right now, they'll cover your first 6 months' payments. Visit claysolar.com today to schedule your free consultation. claysolar.com.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is Max Fink with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at kuhnflowers.com.
You're shriveling a bag.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball is home at the newly renovated Five-Star Ballpark this week. Tomorrow is Wear at Home Wednesday t-shirt giveaway presented by Renewal by Anderson and Better Health. Tomorrow, River City Pride and ViStar present Pride Night on Coors Light Thirsty Thursday. Then it's Red Shirt Friday with fireworks, followed by our salute to the Negro Leagues weekend. More fireworks and giveaways on Saturday and Baptist Health Sunday Family Fun Day. Baseball all weekend. JackShrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball. Affordable family fun.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now time for Sports and Courts, legal issues in the sports world with Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. Hit back with Hastings.
All right, time to talk legal issues. Frangie, Hayes Carlin, JJ LaSelva, the counselors here. Brett Hastings, he's still beaming for that national championship. Can you tell that?
I
am too. We all are. But he still walks in with this big grin on his face.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yes,
right?
we're all beaming. So, hey, buddy, good to see you.
Doing good.
Good to see you. All right, we got all kind. We're going to potpourri. We're going to go through a lot of topics. So, I want to start with when Greg Sankey made his address at the SEC. He said a lot of his constituents, I think he was talking about people under him, asking him, "Why are we still in the NCAA?" Which got everybody thinking, is there a chance that the SEC, the conference, would pull out of the NCAA? What are the legalities of something like that?
They could absolutely do it. At the end of the day, the NCAA is a private, institution that oversees these other public institutions, but everybody sort of chooses to join or be a part of it, right? And it's because here's an administering body that puts together all these different tournaments. We've got, the baseball tournament going on right now. As you're talking about, we just had the basketball tournament. And so, those things are there, but you elect or choose to do them. So if everybody in the Southeastern Conference decided today that they wanted to be out of the NCAA, boom, they could do it. Now that would create all kinds of issues from a scheduling standpoint, and all of those different issues. But just legally speaking, could they be out? Yes, they could be out tomorrow.
And there's no buyout like these teams have, like FSU had or like coaches have, right?
Correct.
There's nothing like you leave.
Correct, right. Now, are they going to do it right now? I don't think so.
Right, no, I hear you. But I mean, the point is, and that's a different conversation, but I mean, they could leave without everything's got a buyout, but there wouldn't be one there.
And if the SEC and Big Ten do this collectively, and they have 34 teams, which is more than what the NFL has. I mean, if they wanted to start their own football league, is there anything that ACC Big 12 schools can do, the group of 5 schools, to collectively, could they sue the SEC and Big Ten for leaving, or is that just, look, that's the evolution of the economics of this sport?
Yeah,
and you know,
there's nothing I think they could do. They couldn't demand, to be a part of it or whatever, because at the core of so many of the issues that we talk about are antitrust. And, another word for antitrust, because, it sounds so legalish, right, is that it's anti-competition. And so, we are a free market capitalist economy, and our laws are to try to create that. But if you got multiple leagues, that's consistent with competition, right? Yeah. So where all this comes from is you say, hey, these guys, the NCAA, the NFL, they're the only game in town, so you have to deal with them. And so, if the ACC and the Big 12 or anybody would go out there, the way we'd look at it legally is go have the best product, right? And so, I think we know that there's more eyeballs that are going to be turned on, and that's ultimately where the value's derived for these sports organizations, the SEC or the Big Ten. So they're, quote, the most valuable and probably have the most leverage, and the ACC and Big 12, are behind them. But, the reality is if we look at things right now, we just had a bunch of changes in the seedings, right, to the playoff in college football, correct?
Right.
Did the NCAA do that? No, right?
Right.
This kind of ruling body and committee that's out there. So I think ultimately the SEC, these power conferences are going to remain in the NCAA, but I don't believe it'll happen in football. I looking at the law, looking at it as a consumer, I just think we're heading towards a 64 team, group of super conferences, SEC, Big Ten, and then you're going to have these other groups, kind of come in, and that's what we're going to see, at least for college football. I think the biggest things to hold them in are, March Madness, and the tournament is still, hugely generates all kinds of not only excitement, but the money, the dollars, that the tournament goes and generates. Is sort of the one thing the NCAA has going for them, and the SEC, Big Ten, ACC, Big 12 are going to still want to participate in that. And then most of the other sports where people aren't going on to be, the Travis Hunters of the world or whatever, but, women's volleyball and all these other things, the NCAA really does a service for student athletes. So I think football is going to go its way, and these other ones are going to remain in sort of the new era. And, as we talk about every week, eventually, though, we got to deal with, the employees and pay for play and that type of stuff.
Well, we're going to move on to other topics, but I will close this one with what you said. If football does its own thing, the first thing that has to happen is we need to demolish this re-conference letter. If there's no more football, we can't have the Cal volleyball team flying to Miami to play a conference to have a conference match. So that I think if you see football do its own thing, you're going to see a massive reorganization of this stupid conference alignment that we have now, because it's terribly unfair to the Olympic sports. Let's move on.
Right.
The University of Florida, according to a report in the Gainesville Sun, had a player who was a minor, 17 years old, accused of false imprisonment, quote, dating violence, among other accusations from another minor. And so the player nor the accused person and the alleged victim cannot be named. What'd you make of this story? It was an odd story to me. I get it, by the way. The law is you can't name a minor, right? But say it more eloquently than I will, or I have.
All right. So false imprisonment, and here it's in a domestic context, is really ultimately restraining somebody, right, from being able to go somewhere or to do anything else. Kidnapping, we hear about, you literally physically take somebody to another location. Now, what's interesting and what I think happens in these types of situations are we don't have the actual arrest docket. I did read a report from the Gainesville Sun where it appears they were able, to read it. But a lot of times right now it's at the charging phase. So somebody got arrested. They were called out there. They were able to effectuate an arrest, at that time. And so they'll go ahead and charge it for this false imprisonment. At the time, it's a third-degree felony, which is the highest level, right?
Right.
A lot of times you'll see this end up becoming a domestic battery. And really, ultimately, what decides if a domestic battery is going to be a misdemeanor or a felony is how much whether or not the person is seriously injured. That's what escalates that up to a felony battery. If somebody's pregnant, that can make it a felony battery or whatever. So they're going to charge it up at this highest level. I think there's going to end up being a resolution in juvenile court that deals with the domestic issues here, typically anger management, stuff like that. They're going to talk to the victim, determine whether or not there's going to be, no contact in this situation. But, at least what I read in the reports, it was really pretty bad. This was a highly physical altercation. And I would imagine if we saw the docket, there would be multiple charges based on these facts, not just that one.
Well, according to the report of the Gainesville Sun, Hayes, and I'm just reading probably from the same report Brett was referencing, the alleged attacker pushed the victim onto a bed, proceeded to get on top of her, and then hold her down, began to choke her, and the victim said she could not breathe. So, yes, it's very serious stuff, if indeed the accusations are correct.
Yeah, without a doubt. And obviously we'll see what Billy Napier elects to do, with this player. I was fascinated by the Justice Department weighing in already on Zakai Ziegler, who obviously is suing the NCAA for basically another year of eligibility, even though he really doesn't have the argument of the JUCO or anything like that we've seen like a Diego Pavia successfully win.
Right.
What did you make of that? What does it tell you about where that case might be headed?
First and foremost, I thought I was shocked how swiftly and so the listeners understand what there was a Department of Justice advisory opinion. Okay. So that's essentially the lawyers for the government saying, hey, we think this is what's important to understand about the law. Now, in the Ziegler case, we've got a sitting judge in Tennessee and federal district court who's going to be making these decisions. She does not have to follow what the Department of Justice says, but you get an understanding that it's like, okay, this is the highest ranking legal officer, not a judge, and this is the direction that we think it should go.
Let me stop you just for a second. I don't want to interrupt you, but for people that didn't follow this a week ago, a basketball player from the University of Tennessee has played his 4 years. All four at the University of Tennessee. He's now suing for the opportunity to play more years at Tennessee because of the possible dollars he could make. So even though he's played his 4, he's suing. He wasn't a junior college guy like the Vanderbilt quarterback Pavia, but he's suing to have more than his 4 years. I didn't want to interrupt you, but people that don't know what we're talking about, that's what we're talking about now. Continue.
Yeah, he plans to go to grad school, says if I'm in grad school, I should be able to make this money. And anybody who knows about Zakai Ziegler, what is he, like 5'6", 5'7"? He's probably
he's not an NBA player.
Right. He's the smallest, best player you've seen in the SEC, but he's not a guy to be in the NBA. So it's a test case for those reasons. But it was literally filed, 2 weeks ago? Yeah. We discussed it here on Sports and Courts, and that quickly, this Department of Justice opinion came out. What I think is it's indicative of the fact that Nick Saban and all these guys are up in Congress, that they know there needs to be some type of federal direction given to all of these states. And so it's very clear that President Trump is going to be, trying to push these things in the right direction. So what I took of it, to answer your question, Hayes, is that I don't know that the judge is necessarily going to follow it again. We got a federal district judge who's going to follow the law, but is in Tennessee, okay? But, you got a pretty clear opinion, I believe, from the Department of Justice to say that that this is not an antitrust violation, right? That what we want to see is young people get their degrees, and when they get their full degree, college should end, and then they should go on to do what's next.
Brett, in all these cases, will the federal opinion trump, and I'm not saying it because it's the president's name, I'm being serious, will these opinions trump anything under that? Will they trump state court? Will they trump what the NCAA is trying to do? I mean, once the Department of Justice speaks, is that it? Is there the king? I mean, there's a Supreme Court, I guess you could challenge it in, but how does that work?
Right. So federal law generally preempts state law, okay? But there are certain things that are left to the state, that are for the state to go and determine. What I think is interesting here is that President Trump is a very strong proponent of trying to decentralize the power of the federal government and give the states the rights to govern themselves.
That's correct.
Governor DeSantis is a huge proponent of that. And so I think that actually makes the college football issue a little bit more difficult because they want there to be direction. They want essentially for all of these schools and these other people to figure it out. But overall, politically, they do not want to just have the federal government override states' rights in general. So to answer your question, if they put together a federal law that would pass through everybody, that could preempt state law. But I think there's still a lot that needs to happen for that to be able to, come to pass.
I guess what I'm really curious about is everybody is trying to make doctrine here. The college sports world says we want to do this. So not even the NCAA, just some college leaders say, well, we want to have a czar who's the head of the College Sports Commission, I think. So we want to do this. But now some state legislators are saying, no, we want to do this so we protect our school. So now the Department of Justice comes along and says, no. Well, you see what I mean?
Right.
There's the NCAA. Then there's this group that wants to run college football called the College Sports Commission. Then there's these state legislators who say, no, we want to trump you. Now here comes the federal law that says, no, we want to trump you. At the end of the day, I'm just wondering who's going to win. I guess that's the most simple way I can ask the question.
I'm constantly part of mediations.
Right.
And so one of the things the mediators always say is that, hey, if this case is going to get resolved today, then one side's probably going to feel like they had to give up a little bit more than they wanted to, and the other side's probably going to feel like they had to give up a little bit more than they wanted to.
Gotcha.
I don't think we're going to legislate this anytime soon and get it resolved. But I think, because there's big money in it, right? And there are a lot of motivating factors for everybody to get together. Television, athletic directors, state legislative officials, all of these different things. And everybody's going to have to come to an agreement and sort of choose to be governed, in this. If you look at it, the federal government really doesn't tell the NFL what to do, and look at it's the most successful sports organization, probably in the world. But what you see happen there, you have collective bargaining, right? The players have to be heard, the owners, you got to work out a balance. They work with TV. So I think ultimately we've got to get to the point of having a czar, figuring out who are going to be the people there to do it. And I think that's another reason why we're going to see it happen in football and maybe not in some of these other parts for the NCAA, because I think we can identify sort of who these power programs are, who the stakeholders are, and can get people together and say, hey, let's figure out a way that we can, not only make this successful, but I don't know how you feel, but I don't want it to be the NFL, right? I want guys to kind of go to school and they're Seminoles for life, and they're Dogs for life, and they're Gators for life.
Me too.
And, I want people to go and get their education, and I don't want to have a 35-year-old free safety at Florida, right? Nobody really wants that. And so I think they've got to go and figure out that balance. But I think that's going to be negotiated much more than it's ever going to be legislated or litigated. And if it's legislated or litigated, we're going to be talking about this stuff for 10 more years. And I just think the finances of it are going to be a large enough driver that everybody's going to have to go in and give up a little bit more than they want to, and put the best interest of all involved, which is preserve these traditions for college football. That's what makes it unique from, the NFL or the marching bands. And it's the biggest deal going on in Alabama and Mississippi and these other places. And that's what I think we've got to keep. So.
Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. Really good work. That was Sports and Courts and a variety of topics. Back after this, Hayes has headlines. Stay with us.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. But when it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
What would you call a man who would stoop as low as to do something like this?
Dan Hicken.
Let the man keep what's left of his dignity, please.
Jeff Prosser.
Tight pants and fast cars don't make you Batman.
Together they are The Drill. Mornings on 1010XL.
This is Hayes Carlion for Harrell and Harrell. I was at lunch with my good friend Holt, and he was telling me that sometimes a lawyer can get more from a case than their own client. I was surprised to hear this, but Holt said that doesn't happen with Harrell and Harrell. They'll never take a fee that is greater than their own client. When they say they treat their clients as a person and not a file, they mean it. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harrell and Harrell at 904-251-1111. That's 904-251-1111.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Poker fans, ready to ride the waves and win big? Join us at Best Bet St. Augustine for the Summer Splash giveaway. Over $40,000 in prizes are up for grabs, including a 2025 Yamaha Wave Runner. Join us now through August 8th to earn entries into the big giveaways. Every hour of poker play and table game play earns you an entry. The more you play, the more chances to win. Come play and win big at Best Bet St. Augustine. Visit bestbetjacks.com for details. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Hacker here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Look, the summer has arrived. Memorial Day is in the rearview mirror. It's vacation season for me, and over the next couple of weeks, whether it's a cruise, going out to Las Vegas, I'm going to bust out the tank tops, man. I'm going to show off the bod a little bit. Now, would I have done that 100 pounds ago? Of course not, but thanks to the great folks at Awaken 180 Weight Loss, I really have a new lease on life. It's life changing. I'm in the maintenance program now, doing really well, right? The weight is not coming back on. That's almost as rewarding, if not a little more rewarding. It's one thing to lose the weight. It's something else to keep it off. I've been able to do that with the great folks of Awaken 180 Weight Loss. If it's time in your life to make that change like it was for me, go to awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800. If I can do it, you can do it. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
E.T. here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find Scratch Kitchen that always comes in the clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar. Hit a home run for happy hour and ask your Twin Peaks girl about local specials on drafts, cocktail shots, and more. Come on, somebody.
Join me, Max Fink, as I keep a close eye on everything that happens in Gator Nation.
The Gator Report, polished up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gators!
Got a leaky faucet? AC blowing hot air? No worries, Duck Rooter has your back. Call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Rooter, plumbing, septic, AC, and a whole lot of quacking good service.
Swing into the hottest party of the summer. Join First Tee Door Florida at the Yards on June 12th for the Summer Soiree Baja Beach Bash. We're bringing the vibrant spirit of Cabo San Lucas to the First Coast for an evening of family-friendly fun. Enjoy live music, craft cocktails, golf games, raffle prizes, and delicious Mexican-inspired cuisine from Taco Lu. Golf, fiesta, and philanthropy, all to support the impactful programs of the First Tee. Visit firstteenorthflorida.org/summer soiree to secure your tickets today.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. I always brag on what you guys have on-road and off-road. But, Greg, tell everybody about what's happening on the water, because you got loads of opportunity.
We do. We've got lots of boats in stock. We got the Honda 19-foot Fisher Runabout. We've got the Coach pontoons, all of them with that legendary Honda motor and legendary Honda reliability, which you always want when you're out on the water.
You could be cruising along the Intercoastal or out on the ocean, but check it out. Facebook page ready for all of you to see, Cycles of Jacksonville, or their showroom on Atlantic near Regency.
Say goodbye to glasses and contacts with customized vision treatments at Bowden Eye & Associates. Hey, Hicken here. Dr. Bowden and his expert team bring you all the latest options like Evo implantable Caliber lenses, refractive lens exchange, or traditional LASIK. Tailored just for you. Imagine waking up to clear vision. No hassle, no fuss. You ready to see the difference? Call now or visit BowdenEye.com for a free screening. Bowden Eye & Associates, keeping the First Coast focused.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Gather round.
It's Hayes' Headlines, presented by Harrell & Harrell. Don't settle for less than you deserve. Hear all about it. Here's Hayes Carline.
Welcome back to the Frangie Show. Frank Frangie is here. We've got JJ LaSelva. I am Hayes Carline. Thank you to our friends at Harrell & Harrell. Give them a call at 251-1111. Frank, we're going to start with a report from Jordan Schultz saying the Jaguars will sign edge James Gardeck. The 30-year-old Gardeck spent his first 7 years in Arizona. He has 17 career sacks. The club is yet to make this official with an announcement, but if so, that would be another veteran edge player coming to the roster.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I'm not going to pretend to know a lot about Gardeck. I don't. But I do know this. I do know that since the more typical player procurement phase ended, meaning free agency and the draft, the Jags have been very active in finding edge help to support Josh Hines, Allen, Trayvon Walker. By now, you know, they signed Emmanuel Ogbah, who they like a lot. Dewan Smoot, the longtime Jaguar, just came this week. Now Gardeck comes. They're all three the same position. They're all three guys who you would think will be backup, if they make the team, would be a backup edge. Remember, edges can't play every down. That's a rotational. It's not like offensive line where you play every snap. It's a rotational position. So, they'd back up. And if you play well enough, then you might also be in nickel. I mean, would it surprise you at all if Emmanuel Ogbah wound up being a starter in nickel and Trayvon Walker moved down? It wouldn't surprise anybody, right? So I think the idea is bring in as many. Look, one thing they have said, one thing Tony Baselli said the minute he got the job was competition really matters and depth and numbers really matter. I have no idea how good Gardeck is. I'm not going to lie. I do know that's one more guy who's tackled the quarterback in the National Football League a number of times, who now will compete for one of those spots, and that's a good thing.
The Jaguars released running back Keelan Robinson, a fifth-round selection last season. Robinson never contributed as a rookie. He didn't log a carry and returned just 2 kickoffs.
That was an odd fit from the get-go. When they drafted him a year ago, the guy that was at Alabama didn't really work out at Alabama, transferred to Texas. You knew from the get-go it was only a return guy, possibly a third-down guy, but I really think you and I had this conversation, Hayes, when they went to the new kickoff, and a lot of people believe that would mean 2 return guys, that almost led to the drafting of Keelan Robinson. And now we continue to flesh out this new kickoff, which is changing again and again and again. People have a better understanding of what you'll need. Here's what you're going to need. Not as many return guys because everybody kicks it out of the end zone still. So I think all that is in play. I don't know how good a player Keelan Robinson will be, but it did not surprise me when I saw it today, and I'm guessing it didn't you either.
No, it did not. The NFL Network will carry 21 live preseason games, including 2 Jaguars games. So this is important if you're going to be on vacation or you have, or if you're a Jaguars fan out of market listening to us. The network will televise the Saints game Sunday, August 17th at 1 p.m., as well as the Dolphins contest Saturday, August 23rd at 7 p.m.
Yeah, and I think the minute you saw that the Saints game was on a Sunday, you knew that was probably ticketed for a national broadcast of some sort, because you don't have many preseason games on Sundays. Sunday, 1 o'clock, that's a good window. You know, and the NFL Network, by the way, doesn't get that window very often. Once the season starts, they don't get it. So that would make sense. I had heard about the Dolphins one, but I wasn't sure until then. So, yeah, people are going to get to see Travis Hunter and those Jacksonville Jaguars.
Let's get to college football. It looks like the future for Florida Georgia is starting to crystallize for the 2 years that the stadium will be being renovated for the Stadium of the Future to open in 2028. Looks like Florida Georgia will be played in Atlanta in 2026 and Tampa in 2027.
That's where it was headed. And I can tell you, I had this conversation with Scott Strickland a year ago maybe, and I asked Scott, I said, are you going to go home and home? He said, I don't think so. He said, He said there's two, and I this was just he and I having a conversation, but he said there's more money to be made with other options. He didn't tell me what they were, but you don't at that point you didn't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out Atlanta was going to be one, and Tampa or Orlando or somewhere of the like was going to be the other. So I'm not surprised by it, but this has been in the works for a while. And by the way, it's not. I said this at the time. It's not going home and home because they need the extra money. B, it not going home and home now means it's never going to. So that news should make Jacksonville people feel very, very good. I can also tell you, what about it going to Atlanta and Tampa on a regular basis? That's already been discussed. I can tell you both schools have no interest.
Yeah, they have the contract.
Yeah, but even if they did, both schools have no interest. And they could have addressed that. They could have addressed it. All this news adds up to Jacksonville's going to have that game for a long, long time.
Yes, absolutely, and that is fantastic. Let's get it to college basketball. The Gators will play the Seminoles on Tuesday, November 11th in Gainesville. The national champs will also play UConn in the Jimmy V Classic at Madison Square Garden on Tuesday, December 9th. Tip-off for that game is 9 p.m. on ESPN.
Yeah, Gators Knowles on a Tuesday is a little off. I'd gotten used to the Friday right before the football and the official first night of basketball season. But look, the Gators make the rules now, not just over Florida State. The Gators, the UConns of the world have to schedule around Florida a little bit now. So what a schedule is going to, if you look at what that non-conference schedule is going to be, the expectations that the SEC is going to be all that again. Remember, Kentucky's going to be better now than they were. So the expectation is, and Alabama got Phylon back. So, all of a sudden, all of that league, what a schedule is going to be for the Gators. 36-4 is going to be tough next year. By the way, it was tough last year, but it's going to be tough next year.
Yeah, and remember, Florida opens in Las Vegas against Arizona, which will be another fantastic.
You got Arizona and UConn in the SEC. Okay,
right.
In addition to whoever else you play.
Yeah, and we'll see what Florida State is, in the first year with Luke Laux.
Yeah, it'll be very. I was just going to say, that is we'll get to this closer to basketball season, but I am really intrigued with. Remember, Florida State hasn't changed its basketball coach since you were in middle school.
Yeah.
So who knows what to expect? I'll be very interested to see where that goes.
Let's get to the NBA. Do you give the Pacers any chance at an upset here? And if Indiana pulls this off, ranking is tough because we're not NBA historians, but where would this one rank if Indiana is able to take down Oklahoma State?
JJ, you know the league better than me. Go first here. What do you think?
Definitely the biggest upset we've had probably since Toronto beat the Warriors, but that was because of injuries. And this is his first question, what chance do you give him? I give him like 5% chance unless SGA goes down, which that's the thing about basketball, man. Your star player goes out, it's a totally different ball game. So, yeah, if something like that, if he misses like 2 games or something, I could see that. But besides an injury, I don't give him any chance.
Yeah, and tomorrow we'll have fun. We'll do our Loser Monday. But you had a great topic yesterday, Hayes. We got talking about this. I hadn't thought about this, but what's the comp to this Thunder team if it goes on a run? Now, look, it looked for a while like the Suns were going to go on a run, right? When Booker was making everything, and that came and went.
In Denver.
Looked like the Nuggets were going to go on a run when nobody could defend Jokic. Well, that came and went. So this one could come and go. The Bucks won.
The Boston. We thought Boston was about to go on a run.
Right. So let's make it happen more than once. But this one certainly has the look, doesn't it? And if it does, I thought the comp was the Spurs because small market, only team in the market. And I'll say this about that Spurs team. To be in that little market of San Antonio, to not have a lot of guys that were mega stars in college. By the time that thing was over, everybody knew Duncan and Ginobili and Parker and right. Everybody did. And so yeah, I'll be interested to see how assuming they win easily this year, which I think we expect, where this thing goes in the years to come.
Let's get to Major League Baseball. The Braves are 27-32. Is it over?
JJ?
They have a very low chance of making a wild card run, but because of the way they're playing and everything, I would say it's over. By the way, the funniest thing that's happened this season was the other day. They fired their third base coach, who was awful, and then they brought Freddie Gonzalez, who was the Braves manager 5 or 6 years ago, back to be the third base coach. So now they have their last two managers in the same dugout. It's so weird, man. Like, Strider looked absolutely atrocious last night. He has no stuff left. So I would say no. To me, there's probably like a 15% chance the Braves make the playoffs, but there's only like 3 teams in the National League with a worse record than them.
Well, that's
terrible.
And here's the thing. I'm not convinced the Braves are going to be a lousy team all the way to September. But the problem is the National League is good now.
Stacked.
I mean, the Mets and the Phillies are both very, very good in the East. The Central, which has been awful. The Cubs are very good.
Cardinals are good.
Cardinals are better than expected. The Brewers are suddenly pretty good. They're all well over 500. And I haven't even gotten to the West yet, where there's 3 really good teams. So the problem the Braves had isn't that the Braves are suddenly this terrible team. They're 4 games under, not 40 games under. But even if they rally a little bit, there's way too many teams to climb ahead of them. So it's going to be a tougher year than I expected. I was wrong. I thought the Braves would bounce back and be in the hunt. It looks 60-some games in. It looks harder than I would have expected.
By the way, the Rockies have 3 more wins than the Braves in the last 17 days. Just a fun fact.
Wow. 12 and 50 of the Rockies.
It's hard to feel sorry for a multimillionaire who is dating Livy Dunn, but Paul Skeens, 8 innings last night, 1 earned run allowed, 8 strikeouts to 1 walk, and he takes another loss. Jeez. Paul Skeens leads the Bigs. He's tied for the lead, and quality starts with 10. He has a 2.05 ERA. And he's 4-6.
He's 2. And let me tell you what Hayes just read. If you weren't listening closely,
that's crazy.
In this day and age, a 2.05 ERA is the equivalent of a 1.05 ERA 30 years ago.
Yes.
And by the way, he started out tough. He scuffled a little bit by his standards. If you look at his last 4 or 5 games, you know his ERA in his last 5 starts? 1.19. 1.19, and on the road it's 1.09. He's the best pitcher in baseball, and he's 4-6, and there's something like 5-12 in his starts, or 5-9 in his starts. It's amazing. It's amazing how bad they are.
This is worse than DeGrom.
Yeah,
remember a few years back when DeGrom won the Cy Young, but he had 8 wins or something. This could be that.
Okay. The Pittsburgh Pirates, by the way, have now played 41 games. They've been shut out 10 times.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
They've been shut out a sixth of that's by far the most in the big leagues. I mean, it's hard to get shut out. Okay, you can run into one. Okay, a walk, a wild pitch, and a blooper, and you scored 10 times. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. This will make you feel better.
Good. We'll get you. Doesn't like feeling better.
Well, this will make you feel better.
Thank you.
We'll get you out on our musical note of the day, because on this day back in 1984, Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA album released. Yes, this album just turned 41 years old. It sold over 30 million copies. There's so many great songs you could choose from this album. But today I felt like going with Glory Days.
It's by far his best commercial album. It's probably his 4th best album, if you ask people that really follow him, me among them. But it's by far his best. This is when he became the commercial superstar. He was on Time and Newsweek in 75. 10 years later, though, is when he became the mega commercial star. And this is who doesn't love Glory Days, right? If you don't love Glory Days, something's wrong with you. I'm glad you said that, because I was about to throw my microphone talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates. Well done, as always. We'll take a break. Don't forget, now, 20 minutes from now, Kevin Kaplan stops by to talk all about Jags and health and all that. But in the meantime, we've got some other things to talk about at the top of the hour. This is 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
If you need an insurance agent, I'll recommend the best guy in town, State Farm agent Craig Dewhurst. Call him at 940-9740. Really good guy, really good agent. Life insurance, homeowners, automotive, you name it, he'll handle it for you. Tell him what you need. He'll assess your whole situation. What kind of coverage do you need? How much coverage? What should your deductible be? What do you make, and how does it fit your cost and your rates? You will love dealing with Craig. What a nice guy he is, and how he'll help you get the right answers. The best in the business. Craig Dewhurst from State Farm, 940-9740.
Where's this place supposed to be? just beyond the swamp.
Haven't you heard of the monster that lives there? It makes sure no one gets through that swamp alive.
My kind of place.
We've got your Gators right here.
I'll lead you through the swamp.
1010XL.
This is Richard Miller with your Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles Update. 2025 Bowman Baseball has been on shelves for 2 weeks now, as it's the first set of the year focusing on prospects. Collectors are looking for those case hit cards of anime and the sought-after Chrome Prospect autographs. 2025 Bowman Baseball at Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles. Update your collection.
Want your son or daughter to enjoy sports year-round? Then log on to i9sports.com with summer and fall registration open right now, including girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows, plus plenty of other spots and sports on the First Coast. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 for a discount.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal. Pretty nice weather we're having, huh?
You think this is nice?
I mean, it's sunny, warm. We do live in Florida.
It's not all upside, Jason. Warm weather comes, so all the cool people hit the beach. My old air conditioner craps out, so it's 1,000 degrees inside, and I'm stuck on a video call in my underpants trying not to sweat through my...
Wait. Put these sunglasses on.
I'm not going to put on your...
Whoa. The air conditioning experts at Bueller Air and Plumbing can keep your home office cool and comfortable all summer long. You look good in your meeting, impress the big guy with your cool confidence, maybe finally make assistant deputy regional manager.
Wow, air conditioning can do that?
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend all summer worried the weather is going to be too nice, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish. And he's listening to the Nimnicht Outdoor Show.
With tips and stories.
Presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning.
Every Saturday morning, 7 to 10.
On 1010XL.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Baseball is back. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball at the newly renovated Vistar Ballpark is your home for affordable family fun. Tickets start at just $5. Fireworks after every Friday home game and kids round the bases after Sunday games. Log on to jackshrimp.com for tickets and details. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
Hey, Jacksonville, Hicken here. I've been around the block or two, and Checkmate Coatings is who I'd call for my own place. They're my new MVP for stunning, long-lasting floors.
Brendan here with Checkmate Coatings. No massive overhead means top prices on top-quality pool decks, driveways, garages, and patios, too.
Visit CheckmateCoatings.com today. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
David here with Royal Pest Services. Man, don't let your yard be torn up by that heavy aeration machine this spring. Visit RoyalPestServices.com to learn more about our granular aeration. Broadcast throughout the tree and shrubs to break up that compacted soil. Visit RoyalPestServices.com.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World,
simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. The Gators landed their fourth commitment of the 2026 class yesterday, adding defensive back Caden Hall out of Milton, Florida. Hall's a safety, standing 6'3", 200 pounds. And according to 247sports.com, Hall ranks as the number 14 safety in the class and the 170th ranked player in the class overall. Hall chose the Gators over schools like Alabama, Florida State, and Oklahoma. He joins 4-star quarterback Will Griffin, 3-star offensive lineman Genevre Carr, and 3-star defensive lineman Jameer Perez as 2026 commits. Former Gators star and Kansas City Royals rookie Jack Caglione made his MLB debut last night, unfortunately going 0-5 at the plate. Despite not getting a hit, the Royals came out on top 10-7, beating the Cardinals, and Caglione will look for that first hit again tonight. It's 81 degrees at 5:01. Time and Temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back to a Coyle & Sons Wednesday. Since 1927, they've been around the block and probably fenced it too.
We sure appreciate our friends from Coyle & Sons, the best fence company in Jacksonville. Man, they've been doing this a long time. Since 1927 is correct. You know by now our beautiful, beautiful baseball park, the Bragan Baseball Complex at Fort Family Park. They built us a gorgeous batter's eye. We wouldn't be able to play night games without it, and they bailed us out. Well, they'll do the same thing for you. You can really trust them. The number is 904-356-4821. You can go on to coiljacks.com. That's Coyle. Look, you're going to like those folks. They're buddies of mine. My buddy bought the company not that long ago, and he's really grown it. And they now do residential fencing, not just commercial. If you need a fence, any kind of fence, you're crazy not to start with this phone number, 904-356-4821. Coyle & Sons Fence Company, and always a Coyle & Sons Wednesday here on the program. Kevin Kaplan about 10 minutes away to talk all about the Jags and health and all that and what the offseason means.
Interesting Jaguars nugget real quick. The team sent this out just a minute ago. So they have announced the signing of linebacker Dennis Gardeck from Arizona.
Right.
But to add Gardeck, the team has waived Cooper Hodges with a failed physical designation.
Yeah, and I will tell. I did not know that. I didn't. That's interesting. So Cooper Hodges, who's
obviously
from here,
Baker County,
County, and App State. A very, very difficult injury. He had he tried very hard to rehab it, but we were told at the time, Hayes, it was a very, very difficult injury. And again, I won't put Cap in a position where he's got to talk about it. That's not his job to talk about the specific details of players. So just so you, if you're thinking, well, Frank's going to ask Dr. Cap, I can't do that. That's not.
Yeah.
That's
I just mentioned it because Hodges is a
local.
local. And I know some fans were really excited about him. A couple years ago.
And I hope he can rehab it at some point because he was on his way to being a very good football player, well respected, well liked. And we're really, really rooting for Cooper, but it was a tough injury. There's no question about it. Speaking of the Jags, so the pressure on Travis Hunter, we talked about this at the top of the program. It's I mean, let me give you the good. I think if the Jags win a little bit early, there will be so much talk about them. They will be a candidate to flex into good spots more than once. They will be a team that will, even if it doesn't affect nationally televised games, they'll certainly be the team that'll lead SportsCenter. I think his presence will give them. People can't wait to watch this. This unicorn who's going to play both ways, which we just don't do anymore in pro football. I think people can't wait. I really believe that, Hayes. I believe people can't wait to watch this guy. I'm excited, so excited about what that will be for him and with him. I can't. But I wonder And he strikes me also, by the way, as the kind of guy that he ain't worried about the pressure, dude. He's just going to, you know what he's going to do? He's going to go catch 6 passes for 88 yards and a touch. He's going to go knock away a couple passes, maybe pick one off, and then the next day, and then on Tuesday when he's off, he's going to go fishing. You know what I mean? That's kind of who he is. He's very understated. He strikes me as a guy with a really slow heartbeat. For a guy that runs that fast, that heartbeat's really slow. But I do wonder how the enormous amount of attention will affect him as a player.
I agree with you. I don't think it'll affect him much at all in terms of his preparation and his execution of his assignments. I still wonder about the mental challenge of really playing both at a high level at the NFL level. If he is able to master it, it will be one of the most amazing athletic achievements I think that we've seen in this country in the last 40 years. And if he is able to do it, if he flirts with 1,000 yards and 7 or 8 receiving touchdowns and picks off 3 or 4 passes, he will be in the MVP discussion. I mean, there's just no way around it because his contributions to his team will be so incredibly unique, particularly if the Jaguars are really in the hunt. We know the MVP tends to gravitate towards players that are playing for winning clubs. So I think if he does this and they only win 5 games, although I'd be hard-pressed to imagine them only winning 5 games if he is an impact receiver and corner for them in year 1. But if they're right there with the Texans at the top of the AFC South, if they win the AFC South, and Travis Hunter, again, he doesn't have to have spectacular numbers on both sides. But if he has what would be considered a good, like 1,000-yard season, which basically 25 receivers in the NFL are gonna do, when you look historically at how many guys do that in the league. So if he gets 1,000 yards and picks off 3 or 4 passes, I mean, it will be unlike anything that we have seen. I mean, again, the only comp we can make is in baseball with Shohei Ohtani. But imagine an American player doing this in a much bigger sport in terms of what we pay attention to in this country. If Travis Hunter is able to do this, he will be one of the biggest, forget sports stars, he'll be one of the biggest celebrities in America because this is the kind of thing that will transcend beyond sports. Like this will be the kind of thing that Good Morning America like those kind of shows will be talking about. It will honestly, it'll be something the world has not seen in generations.
Think about this. He won the Heisman Trophy. That's given to the most outstanding player, and he won it kind of in a landslide. And Ashton Genty was a wonderful player. I voted for Travis Hunter, and I have great respect for Ashton Genty. I voted for what are there, like 700 voters, something like that, 780, something like that. But I voted for him. I mean, I think most of the people I know that are voters also voted for him. He won the Heisman Trophy. He won the Walter Camp Award that goes to the best player. He won the AP College Football Player of the Year, obviously. He won the Chuck Bednarik Award, which goes to the best defensive player. He won the Fred Biletnikoff Award, which goes to the best receiver. He won the Lott Trophy, which goes to the best overall defensive player. He won the Paul Hornung Award, which went to the most versatile player. It's amazing all he did. It really is. I mean, it's really amazing all he did. And so I'm envisioning the attention. Okay, the first you'll see he'll play a little bit in the preseason. Everybody plays a little, but probably not very much. Guys aren't going to play a lot, and I have no idea, by the way, how Liam Cohen's going to do that. He's not going to play a whole lot in the preseason. It's the preseason. Regular season comes around. Panthers come here. Jaguars either defer or get the ball. My guess is, and nobody knows this. They know, but nobody in the public knows this. My guess is first offensive series, right? First offensive series. Shotgun. 1 running back, 3 wide, Brian Thomas Jr., De'Ami Brown, Travis Hunter. I'm guessing you're going to see that video everywhere just to see it happen. I'm also guessing at some point in the first quarter, the Panthers will have 3rd and something, and you're going to see number 12 in there. Outside corner, you think?
Yeah.
Probably outside corner, not slot corner, probably outside corner. If I was going to guess, I'm going to guess slot receiver and outside corner when he plays. Agree or no?
I'll go outside on both.
Outside on both. I'm gonna guess slot receiver No, we'll find out soon enough. The season's going to start, and he's going to line up at one or the other. Wouldn't be surprised if he plays a lot of them. But
yeah, and I'm sure he'll be moved around.
You can only learn so much. If you're having to learn to play NFL receiver, oh, by the way, an NFL defensive back, I would think you wouldn't play two or three positions because they are different. So, but I'm going to guess slot receiver, and I'm going to guess outside corner. We'll see if I'm guessing right or wrong on that. But I would think when SportsCenter, when the producer for SportsCenter, when young LaSelva was putting together SportsCenter, does he do SportsCenter? He does SportsCenter, right?
He does. He's the director.
Okay, so when they're putting together SportsCenter highlights, I think there's going to be a package. Don't you think week one of all the plays number 12's in there because he's going to play both ways? Don't you think?
Without a doubt. I mean, it'll be fascinating covering the game in real time because we'll be tracking his snaps.
That's right.
I mean, as the game is going. I mean, it's going to be a massive storyline. I mean, the first time, I agree with you. Let's assume he starts on offense first. But as soon as he checks in the game on defense, you know that Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport tweets coming.
Yep,
Travis Hunter has become the first player since however long
to
play on both sides of the ball in an NFL game. And it's not just that he's attempting this. It's that he's magnificent at both of these things.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's not just that he physically can do both. He's sensational at both.
Yeah, to that end, the one thing, why do you trade up? Well, and why do you give up your second? And why do you give up next year's one? Well, if they pull this off, one of the things they really needed, and again, JJ, who's my favorite player, JJ? Please, quick.
De'Ami Brown.
Okay, but other than my favorite guy, the one thing they've wanted is a guy to go opposite Brian Thomas Jr., okay? We've all known they need a guy to go opposite him. We've also known that they tried to bring in Ronald Darby, who just retired, by the way, and they've tried to develop other players. And Monteric Brown wasn't bad. In fact, he's had a good OTAs, whatnot. But we know if you have Tyson Campbell, it sure would be good to have a guy on that other side in key moments. If you got Brian Thomas Jr., who's a star, it sure would be good to have a guy on the other side. What were really the chances one guy would do both? Could answer both questions?
It's
that's
extraordinary.
Really, that's the point. The point you're making about Shohei, it's great that Shohei Ohtani came into baseball as a pitcher and a hitter because nobody does that. Okay, but apart from the arm injury, he came into as one of the best at both. That's what made it. It's not that he does both. It's that when healthy, he's among the best at both. And so anyway, I just think the attention he's going to get, all the attention, you're going to see more Jaguars highlights than you ever have seen. You're going to hear more talk about. You're going to hear Kornheiser and Wilbon talk about the Jaguars more than they ever have. I believe that. Scott Van Pelt is going to lead with the Jaguars more than he ever has. That's the point. And how does he answer? How does that affect the team? How does that affect us? We'll love it. Because they'll hear our games, they'll watch our video. I just think it's going to lift up everybody else, and there's enormous pressure on him because of that. I think he'll answer that, but there is.
Yeah, I mean, you can't minimize what this story could become. I don't think any of us have ever experienced anything remotely like it. I guess the only thing I could say local is maybe Tim Tebow's collegiate career, but again, magnify that by 100.
Right.
And that's what Travis Hunter,
that's a good comparison.
Being, 1,000-yard receiver and one of the best corners in the NFL his rookie year. It'll be a storyline you can't ignore. Like nationally, I don't think they particularly enjoy having to carve out time to talk about the Jaguars.
Right.
You won't be able to ignore this.
Right.
It will be one of the biggest stories in the NFL if he is able to do it.
The greatest storyline in Jaguars history in the 31 years, the greatest storyline was 96. That's the greatest storyline. It wasn't the best team. 99 was probably the best team. But 17 was a good team. There have been some other good teams. But the best storyline was this team in its second year going to Buffalo and rolling the Bills in Jim Kelly's last game, going to Denver against a really good Broncos team and somehow beating them, and going to the AFC Championship game. That's the best storyline in Jaguars history. This could trump that. This is the first thing they've had.
If the team wins.
If this
team wins like 11, 12 games.
And he's a big part of that.
He'll be on the cover of Madden next year.
Correct.
I mean, he'll be the face of the league.
So it'll really be a story worth it. And I'll say this final thing. The little bit he's had to do so far, press conference when he got drafted, there's a couple pressers out there, playing a little bit of offense, playing defense, getting asked questions by everybody. He's handled it with aplomb, man. He really has. This guy is, now again, they haven't lost a game yet. He hasn't had to get up there and explain why they lost. And by the way, they're going to lose the game. They're not going 17-0.
I mean, he lost games at Colorado.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
you never saw any sort of salty
that's right.
persona.
There were no
him.
bad stories. So he's handled everything just about right. All right, fair. Let's keep it on the Jaguars. Take a break. When we come back, my friend Kevin Kaplan here. He is the team doctor. What's this kind of off season like for the team doctor? How do you make sure the team's in shape? How healthy do they typically stay now? Cap joins us after this. Stay with us.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show. From the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Winters are mild.
All the time?
All the time?
Summers are hot.
The beach.
And everything in between is awesome.
Amazing, isn't it?
1010XL. This is the Duval life.
Hi, folks. I'm Frank Frangie. If you have a sweet tooth like me, the sweetest desserts in town come from Spoonful Bakery. Spoonful is an online bakery. They deliver boxes of assorted desserts right to your home or office. They're so good, and they make for great gifts for friends or clients. If you want custom orders, wedding cakes or birthday cakes, or catered desserts for an event, they are the best. Log on to spoonful-bakery.com or call them at 904-515-4984. That's Spoonful Bakery for the sweetest desserts in town.
I'm Julie Harrell. I grew up here in Jacksonville and have seen our city grow as well as the number of car crashes. If you need help after a crash, choose a law firm with an actual office here. Lawyers you can meet with face-to-face and who specialize in personal injury. At Harrell & Harrell, we've been here for nearly 40 years, developing relationships with local doctors, law enforcement, helping people just like you. If you've been injured in a crash, call Harrell & Harrell. Offices, Jacksonville.
Interested in a unique date night? Gibby here. I took my wife Nikki to Wick a Candle Bar. She made her own custom candle right there in the store. Shop local at Wick a Candle Bar. Locations in San Marco and Jacks Beach.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to itppartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to website customtreesurgeons.com. That's customtreesurgeons.com and let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
Don't miss the Bari Breakdown with Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime Wednesdays around 3:20 for the latest in sports injuries. From all the big names in the game, who's MIA, who's coming back from injury. Dr. George Bari on XL Primetime Wednesdays at 3:20.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes. Let's start with some cold, hard truth. Here's why Awaken 180 Weight Loss is your road to freedom. It's fast. It's easy. It's safe. You're not shooting chemicals into your body every week. You're eating real food every single day. You're not listening to an overpriced celebrity tell you about magical new food or asking you to count points or calories. You're just eating food and losing weight. It's that simple with Awaken 180 Weight Loss. You know what else you're doing while losing weight with Awaken 180? Eliminating pain, fitting into clothes you haven't worn in years, sleeping through the night and waking up refreshed and energized and happy. I lost 40 pounds in 9 weeks on Awaken 180, and Hacker lost more than 110 over the course of a year. It's a life-changing road to freedom. Doesn't matter what your goal weight is, Awaken 180 Weight Loss will get you there quickly and safely, a clear path to success without disappointment. Awaken 180. Give them a call, 844-346-1800, or go online at awaken180weightloss.com.
I'm Clayton Bromberg, the president of Underwoods.
One of the biggest changes we've seen in fine jewelry over the last 25 years has been the growth of jewelry designers. At Underwoods, we're the leader, bringing to North Florida the best names in designer jewelry. In fact, we carry designer lines in a similar way to how clothing stores carry designer labels. The difference is that jewelry designers have to be a little more timeless in their presentations because nobody wants to buy a fine piece of jewelry only to find out the next year it's gone out of style. That's why you'll find at Underwoods the best of the jewelry designer names, those that are tried and true and popular. Names like David Yerman, Roberto Coin, John Hardy, Marco Bichigo, Jude Francis, Lagos, Hippolyta, and a lot more are all available right now at Underwoods. So if you want the best looks in designer jewelry, stop by Underwoods, San Marco, Avondale, or the shops upon Avedra.
Brooks here. I've trusted Big Chief Tire with my car for years. For 4 generations, Big Chief Tire has been keeping Jacks rolling with integrity, hard work, and always putting customers first. When I take my car in, I know I'm getting more than just great service. I'm getting treated like family. So if your car needs tires, brakes, or AC work, head to Big Chief. Visit WeKeepJacksRolling.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule your appointment today.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband-wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at Goosehead.com.
Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars. Make them your AC partner. With honest cost estimates before they start the work with no hidden fees. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
At Hurricane Grill and Wings, the wings are fresh, the drinks are cold, and the game is always on. With 30 bold flavors, ice-cold beer, and handcrafted cocktails, there's no better place to kick back and catch every play. Escape the ordinary. Your home for sports is Hurricane Grill and Wings.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Back to a Coyle & Sons Wednesday. Since 1927, they've been around the block and probably fenced it, too.
My friends at Coyle & Sons, by the way, again, you get 0% financing on a residential fence, and they do the best work you can imagine. Now, they're the name to trust, whether it's chain link fences, sleek aluminum fences, or anything in between. 904-356-4821 or go to CoyleJacks.com. My buddy Kevin Kaplan is here now, the team doctor for the Jaguars. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. This is when football season starts for me, when I get in here in the studio.
Now it's real.
Now
it's official. So very cool. Hey, I got a ton of questions. The law is you got to ask a question about Travis Hunter because that's the law. So I'm going to start with the law. What do you how much he's going to play? I mean, you're the doctor. I mean, everyone talks about it, load management. What do you think? You've been around him all the time. You're at all the practices. I'm guessing you evaluated him at the combine.
Correct. Yep.
What do you think about all this?
Yeah, I mean, the first time we meet is obviously in the combine. We look at all the players, you know that, and we evaluate them for any injuries, anything they're coming in with, anything they've had in the past. So we get all that information. And certainly that's part of the whole medical process. And when they get here, that's when they go to Jeff Ferguson, who you know very well.
Yeah.
And we have Chris Bach, our sports science guy, and we have our nutritionist and Mindy Black. You know all these
know
people.
them all.
Yeah. So, getting those guys, with a player like Travis Hunter, which is a kind of a unicorn in terms of what we're seeing, we have to be cognizant of him coming in. How do we hydrate him? How do we keep him hydrated in the heat? How do they do the nutrition if he's playing that many snaps? So those are all part of the conversation with that health and wellness and what Ferg kind of runs. And when we have those discussions, because it's something we haven't done, right? We look at defensive players and offensive players and special teams, and now we have someone that plays both sides of the ball. So it's something new, but certainly we know how to take care of those guys and making sure we're doing the right thing throughout the season.
How much medically does it help when practice is at like 8:50 in the morning this time of year as opposed to like 11:50? Because we saw the Jaguars go more midday, and then Liam Cohen was like, we need to pull back on this.
I love that. Or I love the early mornings.
Yeah,
I mean, it's certainly important, right? Acclimation in Florida, usually takes a couple weeks. But then very smartly with Liam and with James, they said, if we have an acclimation period, at what point does it become detrimental, right? At what point, if you're out in the 11 to 1 o'clock heat every single day practicing, does it become detrimental as you get towards the season? So I think for that reason, you can practice earlier in the morning as long as they're acclimated to the Florida heat, and it's not going to really hurt you. I mean, we've seen teams come in the past. You guys have all been around. I've been around. Guys from up north come in the first game of the season when it's brutally hot, and we lose the game, even though they're not used to the heat. So I don't know if it's that much of a factor. I think it's more important to make sure our guys are fresh and ready to go and not dehydrated and not, muscle fatigued.
This time of year, do you worry more? Do you worry less? No one's hitting anybody. I mean, you come into play more often when people get hit. I know that. But is the team doctor? I mean, the last thing you want is, do you worry more or less? What is this time of year like for you?
Yeah, I think these guys are brilliant in terms of how they're practicing. And I think, you worry about soft tissue injuries, but most of those can heal by the time training camp comes around. You certainly see on ESPN other teams having injuries. You worry, but I think if they practice smart and they practice well in terms of what they're doing and when they're doing it, that it hopefully mitigates the risk. But you certainly don't ever want that phone call, so-and-so was injured. And we see little things here and there pop up.
But not a lot.
Not a lot.
What was the challenge being a physician? You're so close to these guys. Last season, Trevor Lawrence takes a vicious cheap shot. You're obviously very close with him. You've gotten to know him over these last few years. What's the challenge of where everybody's livid that this has happened, of maintaining your cool and treating him, finding out what's wrong, and eliminating the, I can't believe this just happened to our franchise quarterback?
Yeah, you immediately go into physician mode. When I saw that hit, I was I think a little bit to the left, and I knew it was a bad hit, and so I just kind of immediately ran out there and just started. We practice these scenarios. A player goes down. We just got done with our emergency action plan practice. We had all the emergency physicians there, our ER doctors, our EMTs. So this is something we rehearse. Obviously there are way more people around and all the players around. I even think I got stepped on accidentally by one of the Texan linemen. I got cleated in the back, back of the leg. But, at that time, you just got to focus on what you're doing. You kind of put the blinders on. That's with any injury. When we run out there, the last thing you want to do is feel rushed and feel, oh my God, what are we doing? It's you go down there, you calm down the player, you make sure he's relaxed. Obviously, in a situation like that with Trevor, you make sure you protect his head and neck until he comes more alert, and make sure that he's with it enough to give us a good history and physical, a history on what's going on with him. So I think you just got to put the blinders on, do what we do as physicians, and everything else kind of works itself out.
You like the new guys? Tell me about Gladstone and Liam. I love those guys. I mean, you spend a lot of time with those guys. In your world, you got to spend time, right? You're the team doctor. You like all this?
Yeah, I do. I think it's been great. The communication's awesome. I think,
Is that right? They're real good.
They're really good communicators, and it makes it easy for us when we go in there and talk about medical things when free agents come in. And, I got to meet them kind of right before the combine because all this stuff happened pretty quick.
Yeah.
But it just felt easy. It felt normal, and the communication levels are amazing. And especially, obviously with Tony in there as well. Tony and I have had a great relationship with Selly for a long time. Yeah. And so that whole group is just it's been an awesome working relationship.
Yeah, I feel that way because Tony and I are really good friends, like you and Tony are, and I was pushing for him to get that job for a long time, and he got it. You're the same way. You're the same way. But what is it? What have you seen from the inside, from Tony running it, Gladstone, who's such a sharp guy? Now we had this conversation earlier, Kevin, that it was kind of Gladstone's show until now. Now it's kind of Liam's show. Now Liam's at the podium all the time. So tell me some stories, some things you've seen as those three work together.
I just think they've split it up in ways that it makes it just very seamless the way things are running. Okay. I think Tony's ability to give his experience as a player and obviously his love for this organization just shines through. Everybody sees it.
Yeah.
I think James is very pragmatic, and he really, if we're telling him about an injury or about a free agent player coming in, you could tell he's listening. Some people, when you talk to him out in the public or whatever, they may be looking past you, not looking at you, but you could tell, he is laser focused on what you're saying, and he's taking it all in. He processes it, asks questions, the appropriate medical questions. So he's got that dialed in. And then Liam it seems like he loves football. He is all football, and that's cool to see. He's dialed in, and I'm excited to see this season. Not just working there, but being a Jaguar fan our entire lives, like all of us are. I think it's going to be very cool.
Any new administration, there's going to be a lot of roster turnover. What's that process like when Christian Kirk gets traded to Houston, Gabe Davis is released? What's the medical timeline after the team has moved on from those athletes?
Yeah, I mean, those are guys you build a relationship with, obviously operate on those guys and fix, Christian and Gabe. Christian, obviously, he was ready to go, from his injury, and Houston obviously reached out. We're very close. The athletic trainers and the physicians are very close. We all know each other. So it's very easy for them to make a phone call. Hey, at this point, what was the injury? Where is he at in his rehab process? Christian was easy because his fracture had healed and he was ready to go. Gabe's still on the mend and he's still healing. So I've taken, I think, 4 different calls from 4 different teams that are looking to acquire him. And, obviously the team moves on from the player, but as physicians, that we're still the player's physician. So we still care for him. I still see him. I saw him a couple weeks ago. And just helping him along the way, because you want him to still carry on in his career. I mean, that's what we do as orthopedic surgeons. We see a problem, we fix it. And the best part of our job is when a player gets back on the field. And so I love it when guys get back out there and I can see it on the TV. And, hey, there, he's doing great. He looks good. So we still take care of them until they sign that contract. And then we make sure that their rehab plan is going well. Over the years of doing this, now 16 years, players are now getting sent from other teams and other agents. And so I'm getting to learn that process a lot better, and it makes the experience totally different when you're taking care of your player and your team, and then players from other teams as well.
Kevin, do you pass off the guy to like Christian Kirk now that he belongs to the Texans? Mm-hmm. When something happens, do they become his doctor now? I mean, how does that work?
It's player dependent. You build relationships.
Yeah.
And so I've had players that have left. There was a player on the Steelers. There was a player on the Commanders and on the Saints that were once our players.
Yeah.
That got hurt with their teams there. Okay. And they got hurt, called their agent, and he said, I wanted to come back to Kaplan to come do the surgery. So
really?
It's very player dependent, agent dependent. I mean, there's some players on our team that'll go out in second opinions. I mean, James Andrews that's how he made his living on players coming in. And so I've noticed that over time, building these relationships and having these guys go out to different teams, they'll come home, they'll come back. I mean, Josh Wells is a perfect example.
Right.
Josh and I are very close. I mean, Josh and Blake Bortles are actually coached my 6-year-old in girls flag football, which is awesome.
Well, then that's a doggone good flag football team right there.
They're great. There's a lot of Jaguars out there. AJ Cann and Jordan Todman, Rayshon Jenkins. They're all coaching out there. It's amazing. Girls flag football. Anyhow, but Josh, went to Tampa and got hurt and called me. I watched it on TV and my phone was ringing later, about an hour later, and he said, hey, can I come home and have you fix it? So, those relationships, they're long lasting.
Very cool.
In terms of recovery, just in a general sense, there's been a couple of quarterbacks, DJ Lagway for Florida, CJ Stroud for the Texans, where not throwing, both coaches say everything's fine, nothing to worry about. From your expertise, is that anything, is there, just in a general sense, if a quarterback isn't throwing this time of year because of shoulder soreness, is that a concern on your end, or is that it'll be fine by the time we're playing real football?
It just depends on what it is. I mean, a lot of overhand throwers will get tight because they're throwing so much. We see this a lot in baseball players. There's something called impingement or internal impingement, where the capsule in the back of the shoulder will get tight and the ball of the ball and socket will push up on the rotator cuff, and then it becomes very painful to throw. And so that's probably the number one thing that we see with these throwers, if it's not something surgical, and there was a lot of talk out there, there's something surgical with DJ, you think about labrums and issues like that, but, it didn't sound like that just from reading and kind of reading the tea leaves about what was going on. So he probably went through a rehabilitation program, a stretching program, and that's why he's feeling better. CJ Stroud, who knows? I mean, that could be a similar situation. It could be a tendonitis. Obviously, he's not hitting anybody or getting hit by anybody right now. So I don't think he would have like a rotator cuff or a labral type issue. So most of those, I think, are impingement and rotator cuff tendonitis, and they get better with time.
But it's unusual pitchers, to get their arms hurt all the time. It's unusual, isn't it, for a quarterback? I mean, I can't remember hardly any quarterback like DJ going through spring practice not being able to throw. I mean, have you seen that very often?
Not very often. So it had to be bothering him enough or affecting his mechanics. I know he works with Tom Gormley in town, who I trust tremendously.
Yeah.
If something's bothering him enough, maybe it was affecting his mechanics. Maybe Tom saw it. Maybe it didn't look right.
Right.
And you worry if a guy's changing his mechanics because his shoulder hurts, is that going to affect something else? Right. So who knows? I mean, maybe that was going on.
You mentioned pitchers. There's a Spencer Strider story I'm fascinated by. The Braves, one of their top pitchers, So he had the elbow, injury, the ligament injury, and opted for an internal brace surgery instead of the Tommy John. And he's back, but doesn't look even close to his dominant self. What's your take on that? And what do you think is that going to replace Tommy John? Why would it even be a discussion to have the internal brace surgery?
So the original Tommy John, we take a tendon from another part of the body, whether it's the wrist or from the knee, and we use that and weave that into the bone, and that creates the new ulnar collateral ligament or Tommy John ligament. The internal brace is actually taking a suture, a very stout suture, and attaching it from point A to point B, and also kind of weaving in the quote-unquote torn ligament, into that area. And so it's gotten a lot of steam over the last several years. I personally I question whether or not it's really going to work based on the fact that most of these pitchers, these are chronic injuries. They're not elbow dislocations. We see guys on the football field dislocate their elbow. They acutely tear that ligament. Maybe that's better for fixation or stitching it with an internal brace. But if you have a ligament that's been traumatized since they were age 13, I really question whether or not that ligament is going to heal. So I always still opt for a full Tommy John reconstruction because I think the timeline is relatively the same. Now, if you want to add an internal brace to that, maybe that's worth its weight, but just to use that stitch and to try to repair it, I don't know if that's really going to work as well.
As an orthopedic surgeon, doesn't it bug you that this many pitchers blow their elbow? I just think that velocity's king now, and everyone's trying to throw 100, and kids are trying to throw as hard as they can when they're 12 years old now. I think it's epidemic now. You guys get a lot of business, I guess.
Yeah,
but it's a bad thing, isn't it?
It is, but the throwing motion is just an abnormal motion. The elbow and shoulder are not meant. If you really slow down a pitcher's pitch, and I don't know if you have ever seen that, where their elbows and their arms go back almost full 90 degrees and more.
Right.
That torque on the elbow, each one of those throws has the ability to tear that ligament. That's how much torque goes through the elbow.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're going to get around that because guys want to throw harder and faster and at a younger age. And so you're right. We try to limit these things. Andrew's really tried to set forth and try to limit the amount of throws and how hard they're throwing, but it's hard to do that.
Yeah. All right. Before I let you go, you trained with Frank Jobe?
Yep, correct.
Frank Jobe, for people that don't know, was James Andrews before he was James Andrews. He's in Los Angeles. Tell me that quick. It's a great story.
Joe basically saw Tommy John and said, your career's over. And this is how Tommy John was named Tommy John. So he said, your career's over. And Tommy John said, well, why can't you just take a tendon from somewhere else and make me new ligament?
So Tommy John said that?
Tommy John said that. And Joe was such a humble guy that he said, all right, I'll try it. And when it worked, he then basically said, well, I can't call it the Frank Jobe. I got to call it the Tommy John because you came up with it. True story.
And there you go. All right. Well, it's great having you in. 16 years as the team doctor?
Yeah, I was an assistant for 4.
Has it been that long?
It's been that long.
I feel old.
Can't see the gray hair?
God.
Come on.
Kevin Kaplan's been the team doctor for 16 years. So it's great having you. You have a little new thing going too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we got 10 of the most elite surgeons, I think, in town. And we got together and said, how do we build something better for our patients? How do we improve the orthopedic care in the community? And so we started a new group, Orthopedic Specialists of Jacksonville, and we're just getting rolling now and over the next 2 weeks. And, I think we're going to improve our outcomes. Certainly our best ability is our availability. And so our goal is to get these patients in quickly, from sports to spine to hand to joints to foot and ankle, physiatry. We have everything represented. And when you get a group of guys that have the best ability and that are available, I think you're gonna form something special. So we're really excited about it.
Well, wish you great luck with it. I know you do a great job, and we're going to drag you in here to talk more Jaguar football. We appreciate it. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Back in a moment to wrap the program. Stay with us.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Brent Musburger's Visa in Action update on 1010XL. Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The NBA Finals begin on Thursday night. The Oklahoma City Thunder hosting the Indiana Pacers. The Thunder favored by 9.5 minus 105 against the spread. Pacers getting the 9.5 minus 115. On the money line, the Pacers are plus 340. The Thunder minus 450. The over-under point total at 231.5. Shade to the over at minus 105. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who won the league MVP, is the favorite to win the finals MVP at minus 550. Tyrese Halliburton of the Pacers plus 700. Pascal Siakam plus 1,800. Jalen Williams plus 2,500. Earn cash back on your gaming transactions with the GBank Signature Visa Card at vsin.com/GBank. I'm Tony Desiri with your Visa in Action update on 1010 XL.
Attention business owners and property managers. Hurricane season is right around the corner. Is your property ready? Call the pros at Duck Duck Rooter for expert storm drain cleaning and hydrojetting. Our powerful VACCON truck clears the way so your drains flow freely when the rain hits. Call 904-862-6769 today to schedule your service and protect your property before the storms start rolling in. Duck Duck Rooter, your trusted name in storm drain maintenance. Visit us at duckduckrooter.com. We are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hi, it's Frank Frangie. Look, when it comes to glass, there's one name I trust, and that's Lee Encased Glass. Mirrors, custom showers, tabletops, even foggy glass windows, they handle all that. And they've been doing it right since long before I ever picked up a mic. Local, family-owned, and part of this community, just like we are. They've taken great care of me, including our brand-new walk-off offices. Guys, they did a great job, and I promise they'll do the same for you. Lee & Kate's, it's the clear choice. Check them out at leeandkatesglass.com.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Hi, it's Frank Frangie. You hear my buddies Dan and Jeff talk about that great food at Daly's Dash all the time. Jeff loves that Duval, and Dan loves the Boss. And they're right, both are terrific. But I can tell you they have so many excellent options at Daly's Dash. Salads and flatbreads and tacos and quesadillas, you name it. And of course, those fantastic subs and sandwiches. I just had the Italian sub. It is so good. The thing is, Daly's Dash is really committed to their food and committed to making it perfect for you. Everything is fresh, made to order every time. And there's so many Daly's locations in town, no matter where you are, there's one near you. I love to pop in and grab a sub at lunch, or maybe after a round of golf, or maybe even after calling one of those Jags games. There's never a bad time to stop into Daly's Dash and grab that great food. So head there today. Take it from Dan and Jeff, or take it from me. They say it's nicer here. It really is. And the food is delicious. Head to Daly's Dash today.
Get more Gators on the Gator Bites podcast presented by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists with new episodes every Friday. Subscribe and listen by searching for 1010XL's Gator Bites podcast wherever you find podcasts and at 1010XL.com.
Frank Frangie here. Nimnick Buick GMC is proud to be the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Earned by treating customers with courtesy, respect, and fairness. All part of Nimnick's Treating You Right guarantee. The most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer. Nobody but Nimnick. For 3 generations, Nimnick has been the place customers keep coming back to. They treat you right, and they give a bunch back to the community. Visit NimnickBuickGMC.com today to learn more, or visit their showroom off Phillips Highway. GMC, we are professional grade.
Storms are part of every season. Make sure you're protected. Call American Electrical to make sure you have the best in surge protection. Don't lose your home electronics to a lightning strike. Call 737-7770 for American Electrical.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. If you have a school, team, or group that would benefit from a team store, you're in luck because we now offer team stores. Check us out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Need cash? Beaches Jewelry and Pawn has cash, and they're ready to buy guitars, surfboards, jewelry, firearms, tools, and especially gold. And gold market prices are at a record high. Get cash on the spot at Beaches Jewelry and Pawn in Jacks Beach.
Joe C. for Preferred Roofing, reminding you your roof is more than just felt and shingles. It's a system that not only keeps your home dry, but also impacts your heating and cooling bills. Preferred Roofing and Construction is a GAF Master Elite Roofing Contractor lauded for having the ability to educate and inform homeowners on their options. Why GAF and Preferred Roofing? They're veteran-owned and operated with ties to Duval for decades. A family business ready to make sure your family has a good roof over its head. Log on, preferredroofingjacks.com.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-471-9773. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-471-9773. 800-471-9773. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with, call Big Lou at 800-471-9773 or biglou.com. That's 800-471-9773 or biglou.com.
The 2025 season schedule has dropped, and single-game tickets are on sale now. Be at the bank to watch Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence, and the Jaguars take on the biggest names in the NFL. Don't miss your favorite matchup and secure your tickets now by visiting jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. See you this fall, Jags fans.
Yes, sir. That's the best decision. I love it.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, where have we been in the show today? Man, it's been a good show today. Our friend Brett Hastings stopped by. We had Sports and Courts, talked about a myriad of topics, really, with Brett, including does the SEC pull out of the NCAA? What would that mean? A Florida football player being accused of assault by another minor. Both are minors, by the way. And also talked about a myriad of topics that are including there's the guy Ziegler, the Tennessee basketball player, who was in the process of trying to appeal for another year. So certainly a good Sports and Courts. And our friend Kevin Kaplan stopped by, which we certainly do appreciate. He is a terrific doctor, the Jaguar team doctor. We certainly appreciate that. Talked all about things going on there. Now we talked a little bit about Travis Hunter as well. So a fun get together with our friend Kevin Kaplan. All right, almost out of time here. Tomorrow, loser Monday draft. Okay. I'm going first. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm taking Reggie Miller. You'll probably take.
By all means, please do that.
You'll take Rick Smith, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah. I mean, how could you not?
Again, I would sarcastically throw out some Thunder guys of years gone by. JJ, I just don't know any. You know, that's
KD.
KD's about all I got. Deadlift Shrimp sighting on the program. Oh,
yeah, that KD, Russ, and Harden team, man, they were so young. I think it was 2012 when they made the finals against that Heat team. But just imagine if they could all kept that together.
Yeah.
Billy left Florida. Right. Billy Donovan left Florida thinking, I'm going to OKC, and we're going to be awesome forever.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't hold the group together.
Yeah. KD literally blew a 3-1 lead against the Warriors and left to join the Warriors the next season. Man. That was a really crazy July 4th when that news broke. I'm like, well, the NBA's over for the next few years. And it was.
That's exactly right. So there you go. All right. As we wrap the program, I didn't get to this whole. We talked about it at the top of the program, but the expectations for Florida, low percentage to get to the playoffs, but they expect them to have a good team. I will be very interested. We got more time to talk about this. The SEC Media Days around the corner. I will be very interested, really interested to see kind of where this thing unfolds for them. Are they better than everybody thinks and they win 10 or 11 games and get to the playoffs? Are they better but still can't handle the rigors of that schedule and they win 6, 7, 8 games and we have the hot seat talk again come middle of October? Or somewhere in between? Because that's how far the range is.
Without a doubt.
The range is all of that. The range is the schedule's too tough. Lagway doesn't take the next step, gets nicked again. They win 6 or 7 games. We have hot seat talk October on. Or they're as good as advertised, the best team he will have had. They start tracking that 9, 10, 11 win season. We start talking playoffs, and then he's there for the long haul.
And you start talking extension.
And then you talk extension. So, I mean, it really, all of that's in play.
I think Florida is probably one of the biggest wild cards in college football this year because It starts with DJ Lagway. Like, what if he only plays 2 games this season before the shoulder becomes an issue, or he suffers some other ailment? So obviously, if that happens, they're not. Their backup quarterback situation is better than it was last year, but it's still not great. So if they lose Lagway early, they won't make a bowl game, in my opinion. But if he stays healthy and is what I believe he will be, which is one of the best players in the sport, then I think Florida's roster around him is good enough. If DJ Lagway is a superstar, he's not going to have to put it on his back for the Gators to go win 10 or 11 games. I mean, he's got, I think, a good amount of talent on both sides of the ball that can help him. So, I mean, I think the range with Florida can go anywhere from 5 to 11 probably. I mean, because if he's fantastic, the schedule's tough.
Yeah.
But if DJ Lagway is one of the best players in the country, they're going to win a minimum of 10 games.
Yeah, my theory, my theory on tough schedules. The tough schedule is based on who you play. JJ, if the 2001 Hurricanes could have had the toughest schedule in the country, they're still going to win all their games, right?
Most likely, yeah.
So a lot of how I can promise you in the 90s, nobody was talking about Florida or FSU having a tough schedule. It didn't matter. It didn't matter who they played because they had the two of the best teams in the country. So how tough your schedule is a lot of it based on how good your football team is. A lot of it has to do with that. Let's say a little Rick Ballou.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Rick, we were talking about this on our program earlier. Travis Hunter's all the talk. Everyone's talking about Travis. He will have so much national attention. I mean, so much. I mean, we're going to see a highlight package after week 1 or later that day about all his offensive plays, his defensive plays. I think it's enormous, and I think he's a calm guy that the pressure is not going to get to him. He seems unflappable, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, the defensive play he made the other day is one of the great plays I've ever seen.
It was amazing.
It was just absolutely incredible. So it'd be interesting to see, that whole rookie wall, especially if he's going to play both sides of the football. I mean, just about everyone hits it, and what's it going to be like during the second half of the season for him? But I wouldn't bet against him. I'll say that. There's no way I would. I mean, he truly fits into that category too of he loves football, and that's obvious by watching him practice. I mean, there are certain guys that practice hard and then can't wait to get out of there because it's nearly 100 degrees at the Miller Electric Center. He looks like one of those guys that if he had his way, he'd probably be out there about 6 hours a day.
Yeah, the story was when he came here for the introductory. The story, Hayes. When he came here for the introductory news conference, he did his conference. If I think I get the story right, didn't want to leave. Wanted to go throw with Trevor. Yeah, he's not allowed to. The rules don't allow it. But he said, "Why not? I want to go throw with Trevor." So he is that guy. No question. Right.
No doubt. And you know what? Be fun to get out there tomorrow. I'm guessing. Maybe he did defense today. I'd love to see him one day out there defensively. Maybe we'll get that opportunity tomorrow. If not, we have 3 practices next week, so hopefully we get that shot.
Coming up tonight.
We got a lot on the Jags tonight. We'll preview the Stanley Cup Final. That begins in Edmonton coming up in just a couple of hours. And I got a little something on college football that I want to throw out there as well. So plan on being real busy here over the next 2 hours.
All right, Rick Ballou, he goes into the night. That comes up right now. That'll do it for our program. Tomorrow we do our Loser Monday draft.
So the order is you, JJ, and then me.
No. It's me, then you and JJ.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
And I'll still lose. And then I'll still take your freaking orders for bonos. Tomorrow, me, JJ, you. That's what we'll do. Look forward to it. Folks, enjoy the night. Rick Ballou's next. This is 1010XL 92.